The man who walked into a forest and came back 40 years older. He walked into the forest at 2:15 p.m. on a spring afternoon. He vanished for what should have been 2 hours. When he returned, the world hadn't moved, but he had aged 4 decades. No explanation, no medical precedent, no logical pathway from disappearance to transformation. And yet, it happened. On April 14, 1978, Henry Lawson, a 28-year-old carpenter from Briarwood, Vermont, entered the dense forest bordering his hometown. Henry was known for hiking alone. He often explored remote trails, sometimes for hours. His family trusted him to return. That afternoon, Henry left home carrying only a backpack, a notebook, and a small compass. When night fell, he had not returned. Search parties scoured the forest. Neighbors called his friends. Dogs tracked scents. Nothing. The next morning, the search was called off. Henry had vanished without a trace. Exactly 2 hours later, Henry walked back into town. At first, people assumed it was a joke. Friends laughed, welcoming him home. But then, they noticed. Henry's hair was gray. Wrinkled lines etched his face. His hands trembled. His posture stooped slightly. He looked 40 years older. He spoke slowly. His voice had a rasp, but he claimed he had only been gone 2 hours. His family didn't know how to respond. Medical professionals were summoned. Doctors were stunned. Vital signs were stable. No signs of trauma. No chemical exposure, nothing to explain the rapid aging. Tests showed hair follicles consistent with decades of aging, bone density comparable to a 68-year-old, skin elasticity severely reduced, organ functions aligned with a man in his late 60s. Yet Henry claimed the forest had seemed normal. Birds, sunlight, air, and terrain, nothing unusual. He described feeling dizzy and disoriented, but he did not perceive decades passing. Neighbors who saw Henry's return recalled a surreal sight. Martha Caldwell, a local shopkeeper, said, "I didn't recognize him at first. He walked like someone carrying time itself on his shoulders." Friends reported that Henry could remember details about the town as it was in 1978, yet he looked decades older. Even more unsettling, he could recall events from the early 20th century he could not have witnessed. A World War I memorial dedication, a street fair that occurred before his birth. He described conversations, smells, and colors no one alive could confirm. Scientists and parapsychologists became interested. 1. Temporal displacement. Some theorized that Henry had briefly entered another time stream. The forest acted as a portal where subjective time differed from external time. But why only Henry? Why the specific forest? 2. Sudden accelerated aging. Medical experts proposed a rare syndrome triggering rapid cellular aging, but such syndromes take weeks or months, not 2 hours, and they are invariably fatal. Henry lived. 3. Hallucination or psychological projection. Could Henry's family have misperceived his age? Photographs confirmed the transformation. Multiple witnesses corroborated the extreme aging. Skeptics struggled with one fact. Nothing in Henry's environment or biology could account for what happened. Even fringe explanations like time anomalies or temporal echoes cannot be tested scientifically. Yet, every other explanation fails to account for the precise details of his transformation. Henry never fully explained what happened. He described the forest as normal, no portals, no flashes of light, no hallucinations. But he recalled hearing whispers of time among the trees. Not words, not commands, just a sensation, a stretching and bending and folding of reality. He said, It felt like stepping into a mirror of the world, and something in me didn't return the same. He refused to discuss specifics with reporters or scientists. How can time pass differently for one person? Why did Henry age physically but retain subjective continuity? Was it fate? A natural anomaly? Or something entirely beyond human comprehension? Even now, decades later, the forest remains unexplored in terms of anomalous activity. No other temporal phenomena have been reported there. Henry lived a long life, never revealing what occurred. Some suggest he became a living paradox, proof that time can be non-linear, subjective, or manipulated in ways science cannot yet explain. Henry's story has become part of local folklore. Children whisper about the forest where time bends. Researchers occasionally attempt to study it, but the phenomenon hasn't repeated. Photographs, medical records, and witness testimony remain archived, documented, and heavily reported. Yet, the core question persists. If Henry's 2 hours could age him 40 years, what else might the forest hold? What does it mean for reality, identity, and the passage of time? Because sometimes the world we perceive is only a fraction of what is actually happening. And some experiences are so impossible, they can only be witnessed once. Henry Lawson walked into the forest. He returned changed. He returned older. He returned alive. And yet, the forest remains silent. The search party, the medical examinations, the skeptics, and even Henry himself could not explain what occurred. Perhaps we will never understand it. Perhaps some moments exist outside the rules we know. Perhaps reality itself is more flexible than we imagine. But one thing is certain, when someone walks into the forest and returns decades older, our understanding of time, identity, and fate is no longer enough. And somewhere, in the quiet of the trees, the forest remembers.